Welcome aboard. This is the Armchair Fan Podcast, inspiring conversations with out-of-this-world student athletes from the University of Queensland. I'm your host, Jamie Mitchell. Thank you for the download. Now, it's a very exciting time for all of us at UQ Sport as we welcome our new group of UQ Sporting Scholarship recipients, including today's guest, Surf Lifesaver, Corbin Zahn. We'll chat about a breakthrough result at the Australian titles, the thrill of competing in the ocean, and check in to see how he's tackling commerce and economics degrees here at UQ. All right, looking forward to this. Corbin Zahn on the Armchair Fan Podcast. Corbin, lovely to talk to you. Thanks for coming in, mate.
No, pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
All right, can you be the salesman for Surf Lifesaving? For someone not familiar with the sport, I want you to try and describe the essence and the magic of this sport for someone who has picked up footies and run around on grass. I've never experienced the thrill of diving in the water and competing like you do. Tell me about it.
Oh, it's magical, as you said. It's a brutal sport, like the surf sport side of things. Like, you see those Ironmen on TV, they'll be, getting up for morning training at 5:30 a.m. swimming, and they'll be gym during the day and then back for an ocean session in the afternoon. So it's really brutal. Like, they're doing nearly 20 hours of training during the week. But, you take it back to the roots. Surf sport originated from life-saving, from being able to save lives on the beaches. So, it's kind of reassuring to be able to go back to that. Like, this sport is really special because not only is it a brutal ocean sport in a beautiful environment, but it also has, public service at its core. So, yeah, as you said, it is magical.
Yeah, so I want to talk about the relationship between saving people's lives potentially, and also we turn it up to 10 and we're competing. It's fierce. The competition is, incredible. The fitness levels are just off the chart. So the surf life-saving aspect of it, is that something that you got involved very young, perhaps, through family? How did that come about?
Yeah, so it was more my dad's side of the family. My grandfather actually helped establish the first nipper club in Queensland, and my dad was down at Tweed Heads and Coolangatta, and so he brought me through it. Burleigh Surf Club on the Gold Coast, and I was only 5 or 6 years old then, so I've done it my whole life. And that was just, fun nippers, events at the beach. I love the beach. So, we were brought through with surf skills, and then eventually that developed into, getting qualifications and being actually able to do beach patrols as well. So, yeah, it brought up through, surf sports and competing and fun nippers stuff. But, there was always a tie between the rescue side of things too.
So away from competition, are you still active on that front? Do you still patrol the beaches?
Definitely, yeah. So, we're actually not allowed to compete unless we have 25 hours of patrolling for the season, but that's not really the point. The point is you're a part of a life-saving club. That's a service you have put forward to do. That's the reason why you're there. So there's always a relationship between the two. But yeah, I'm still active. I'm actually a vice patrol captain on my patrol at Northcliffe. So yeah, I'm always around about the beach, both in surf sports and life-saving.
So what's vice patrol captain? Is that what it was?
Yeah, yes.
What does that entail? How much responsibility do you have?
Well, I've got patrol captains, but they more or less tell me, what to do. Well, not what to do, but, I do a lot of the delegating, if things need to be moved, flags and signs need to be moved up and down the beach, or we need to move surfers out of the flags, or, we need to, have a good front on the beach. I'm kind of there delegating the other patrol members. I don't want to be telling them what to do, being bossy or anything like that, but I'm just kind of looking after everything, managing the beach, and but above all, making sure everyone there has fun and is doing their job as well.
So incredibly involved from that point of view.
Definitely.
But let's talk about the competition. So you dabble in the ocean events and pool rescue events. Can you go for it's a bit of a smaller sport of what you do? What are the main events you compete in?
Yeah, so there's a fair bit between the surf club stuff. So there's your traditional surf carnivals where you'll do your board, swim, ski, Ironman sort of races. Then there's the surf rescue side of things. So that includes events like Champion Lifesaver and Patrol Comp. And then pool rescue involves a lot of pool life-saving things. So it's more of a European thing because they don't have beaches over there. So a lot of things are in the pool that involve mannequins, tubes, fins, obstacles, all sorts of skill-based stuff.
Let's talk about that champion Lifesaver category. So I know you've had some success in that, and we'll get to it a bit later on. But what does that encompass? Is that a bit of a overarching event that has a lot of elements?
Well, I think it says it in the title, like Champion Lifesaver. It encompasses everything you need to be an effective and a good lifesaver. So, there's the practical side of it where you'll do a board race, swim race, tube race and a beach sprint. That's the physical element. There's a resuscitation exam where you do a live patient exam and a mannequin exam, and you get judged on how well you do a resuscitation examination. And then there's a actual theory exam where you do a 40-question multiple choice paper where they ask questions about aquatic rescue, first aid, powercraft operation, like history of life saving, all sorts of stuff. So they up your points over those three main disciplines, and the winner is the champion lifesaver, the most points.
So we'll talk about a silver medal that you won at the 2019 Australian Surf Lifesaving Championship. So you described there a lot of theory-based competition. So does that happen at the event, away from the event? How does that incorporate? So the actual competition happens on the ground.
Yep.
Where does that come into it, the theory stuff?
Yeah, it's quite funny actually. So a lot of the times the competition's kind of funny. Yeah, we'll go up to the surf club and they'll sit us down in a room. We'll do like a written test. It's literally almost like you're at school. It's really funny. They take us up into a room in the surf club. We do our test and then we'll come back down and do the physical events. So yeah, it's quite funny. You've got your zinc, your sunscreen, all your beach gear on, and you're up there doing a theory exam like you're in year 12.
That's really fascinating.
Yeah.
I had no idea it would encompass that side of things as well. So if you were to describe yourself as a surf lifesaver, where are your strong suits? What do you really excel at?
Like as we've kind of can tell, I try and do everything. I try and get involved in everything as much as I can, but I love pool rescue. I think that's where most of my results come from, and that's, I really enjoy training and competing in that side of things.
You also do a lot of team events as well, and having a flick through your Instagram page, it seems you really enjoy the camaraderie that comes with team events and the bonding and the shared endeavour to try and achieve results as a big group. Tell us about that relationship with competing with other people and sort of the dynamics that happen in a boat, for instance, that you all need to work together. How does that sort of play out?
Yeah, so life-saving and swimming and that sort of stuff, it's an individual, it's looked at as an individual sport. Like you're always in your own head, you're in a pool, you're staring at a black line, or you're in the ocean, you're tired, you're just grinding. So the team aspect of it, or the camaraderie between you and your teammates, is really important because that's where the fun comes from. So like you'll see some competitions, they have individuals one day and the teams the next day, and you'll see people are going 120% just to put in for the team, or people just have so much more fun in the team environment because it is a brutal sport. So to have people around you, like-minded people, to have friends in that same boat, it's really important. And you share an interest, you share a passion.
So you mentioned how brutal it is. I mean, what are the biggest physical, mental sort of challenges you sense over a competition? Is it just muscle soreness? Is it mental fatigue? A bit of both?
Oh, a bunch of things, but yeah, you pretty much nailed it. So a lot of things are like, getting up at 4:45 in the morning for swim training. It's ridiculous. So getting up so early to go swim training, and you're really getting through your head, this is the sport I chose, this is my passion, this getting up for swim training right now sucks, but I've got to do this. This is where I put the miles in, and this is where I'll reap the results. So yeah, the brutal side of things is physically, of course, it's an endurance sport. It is really hectic, but the mental side of things are just as hectic, if not more.
So you represent Northcliffe Surf Club on the Gold Coast, but you are now based in Brisbane, going to uni here at UQ. What's your training regime like? A lot of swimming, a lot of gym work. How many hours are you putting in a day?
Yeah, so I haven't really thought about that, but obviously with surf life saving and being in Brisbane, there's not many beaches in Brisbane. So, when I'm up here, I've just joined UQ Swim Club. So a lot of my training during the week is going to be in the pool with the varsity squad there, doing sessions with the pool squad there, and I'll do some competitive swimming as well. And then on the weekend, I'll go home Friday through Monday, and I'll do an iron session on the weekend, go for a paddle, go for a swim at the beach. And then there's gym when you can fit it as well. So yeah, it's a bit of balance having like between the Gold Coast and Brisbane, going up and down and trying to find time to do training. But between that and uni, I've found I found a happy ground where I can do both sort of trainings.
So around the swimming, how many Ks are you getting in a week? Is it long distance swimming? Is it short, sharp stuff? Or a mixture, I guess?
It's a mix of things because you've got to be fit. You've got to be able to go for a long time. But, you've also got to be fast. You've got to be able to, sometimes you might lose someone's feet. You've got to catch up. You've got to be able to, motor up and, get some speed in. So it's a whole bunch of different things, from speed, doing 50s at training, to doing short rest 400s sort of thing. So per session we'll do anywhere between 4.5, 6 Ks. And then at the beach, it'll be, I'm not sure, but those will be our hour and a half sessions as well. The pool sessions are 2 hours. So many Ks a week. I haven't added it up, but it's a lot of work to do.
And it sounds like you've got a lot of different coaches, a lot of very different training programs. So how does all that dissect between, working with swim coaches to surf coaches? I mean, how many people are you dealing with?
Yeah, a few. So we've got our swim coaches. I guess this is an opportunity to give me some shout outs. But so Dave and Sean, I've been working with in the last few weeks at UQ Swim Club. I've got Kev Morrison, who's our surf coach at Northcliffe. And then between some of the pool rescue stuff, pool rescues during the winter season, that's with my coach Mel Jackson, and Champion Lifesaver and Patrol Comp, that surf rescue side of things, that's with my coach Trent Rowe. So there's a lot of people to deal with, but luckily all those sports they feed into each other. So, my surf coach will understand I've got pool competitions to do, and, the pool coaches will understand that, okay, I'm a surf athlete as well. So, as much as the training ties in, they know there's different priorities amongst the different sports I do, and it all works really well actually.
As an athlete, how closely aligned are you with coaches? Do you tend to rely on them for a lot of intel, feedback, sort of emotional support, or do you tend to compete and then sort of interact with them sort of if and where you need it? How do you kind of fit on that continuum?
Coaches are really important. There's trainers and there's coaches. Trainers will train you, whereas coaches will, they are there to coach you not just at a session, but it'll be off the beach or out of the pool as well. They'll help you with, setting goals and making sure you're okay emotionally, because it is, as I said, it's a tough sport. So to make sure you're there mentally, you're prepared, you're feeling healthy in your mind is really important. So constantly working with coaches, and they're, not only making sure we're fit, we're healthy, but fit and healthy, not just physically, but also mentally as well. So it's definitely a lot of things. They're big helps. Yeah.
I alluded to it before, but 2019 Australian Under-17 Champion Lifesaver, silver medal. Congratulations on that.
Thank you very much.
Is that a highlight so far? Is that sort of the best result you've had?
It's definitely up there. It's really cool. The fun thing about that competition is they have all the points added up, as I said before, but you don't actually know who has placed what until the presentation, and they go from 10th place up through to first. And so I remember being there and hearing the names be called out, and it wasn't me yet, and it was really exciting. It's a very, very fun competition in that aspect. But that is definitely a highlight for me, that season as a whole, actually.
in 2020, we'll talk about sort of how the year panned out because it was a wild one for all of us. But before things did go upside down, at the 2020 Queensland State Pool Rescue Championships, 10 medals out of 11 events, 5 gold, 3 silver, 2 bronze. Pretty wild achievement. We're talking off air. It probably should have been 11 medals from 11 events. What happened?
Oh, yeah. So that 11th race was the 200-metre Super Lifesaver. And there's a part in the race where you've got to actually put your fins and tube on during the race to go clip up a mannequin and tow it home. So I had touched the wall in second at the 100-metre mark, went to put my fins on, put my tube sash over, I went to take off and it yanked me back because the hook of the tube had actually clipped on to the edge of the block. So I had to swim back 5 metres to the wall, unclip it from the block, and by that point I was behind everyone else, so I had to swim back and I got 4th. But so a little frustrating, but there's nothing I could have done about it.
So the Mannequin Carry, it's a pretty wild event, right? So you're actually lugging a fairly heavy mannequin through the water.
Yeah.
How much of the way? I guess it bogs down with water.
I mean, it's an old wives' tale how much it weighs. I've heard some people say 45. I've heard some people say 150. But I think it's about 75 kilos, which is not light, to say the least. But, and so when those things are full, they sink right to the bottom. So we've got to go down, pick those things up and carry them and swim one-handed to the wall.
So in the 2019-20 season, you clocked the 12th fastest time in the 17 years 50-metre mannequin carry in the world. Second fastest in Australia. Well done.
Thank you.
How fast are you motoring to lug it 50 metres? I mean, what kind of time are you knocking off there?
So I went a 32.57, which I was very, very happy with at the time. I dropped my PB, I think, nearly 2 seconds in that season alone. But so the event is you jump in the wall, dive into the water, swim 25 metres. The mannequin's at the bottom of the pool. You've got to dive down, pick it up, and then swim with one arm to the wall. So it's a really funny sort of discipline. You can't just hold the mannequin behind the neck and swim with it. You've got to, kick your legs absolutely motor. You've got to rip your arms through. It's really, really strenuous, but it's a really weird sport. Like even pool swimmers can't pick it up right away because it's just a whole new thing. But you'll watch races and people just absolutely ripping. It's an all-out effort. So some great results in 2020, but also COVID hits and sport stops. I'm curious to see how you navigated last year, and from what I understand, you also had a few health challenges that were going on. So what was the year like for you? Yeah, so I'd come off 2019 and I had one of my best seasons in 2019, and we'd come through endurance season, which happens around, after pool rescue, end of August, September, October, and I'd been, going to swim training and I'd gotten sick, chest infections and stuff, and then I'd have time off, get better, and then I'd come back training and then I'd get sick again. And so that went on till about the end of the year. It wasn't until I went and got a few blood tests that I had iron deficiency as well, which had gotten me glandular fever and cytomegalovirus. And so that was, pretty hard because, I'd come off a really good season. I was really motivated to train, but I had that motivation stripped of me because I just wasn't able to get in a good training block. So, I got an iron infusion, had my rest that I needed. I knew what was wrong now. But after having so much time off and so much inconsistent training, I was really unfit. So I was cleared to train. I'd come back at the start of 2020, done some of the surf rescue stuff, gotten second at state, and then everything had been cancelled for the year. So Aussies had been called off. We weren't sure about the pool rescue season. So that was really hard, actually, coming off, a great season going into illness. And just as I was able to come back, season's gone, world pandemic sort of thing. So that was definitely took a toll on the body and the mind as well. But, COVID, was a hard year for everyone. So I couldn't exactly whine about it. I just had to, do what I needed to do and get some miles in the pool and when I could. So the rebound into this season, I guess where are you at with all that recovery? Do you feel pretty close to back to your normal sort of competition? Yeah, so that was a lot of that was last year, and I got into the pool rescue season in that winter. We were fortunate enough to have Gold Coast titles and Queensland state titles as well, where we just said before I clocked a few good results, but coming from that, and again, like after pool rescue, there was some year 12 stuff we had to deal with, and doing exams during all the COVID precautions and stuff. It was kind of hectic. So training, as much as I love it, it wasn't always on the forefront of my mind with a lot of those exams and a lot of that academic stuff I needed to do. But I've gotten back into some swimming, gotten back into some board sessions now. Now I'm up in Brisbane, I'm able to do some iron sessions too, and so I'm definitely feeling a lot fitter. But yeah, there's still some ways to go.
So goals for 2021. What does success to you sound like? What are you trying to achieve this year?
Look, it's hard to pinpoint whether I want a certain placing at nationals or, because you don't know what everyone else around you is doing. So a lot of my goals and aspirations for this year especially are just to improve upon what I've done before, go some personal best times and, achieve some, individual results that I haven't done before. So a lot of things like, improve a time at Aussies in the 50 metre Mannequin Carry or, clock some PBs in the 50 and 100 freestyle and some pool events. So as nice as it would be to get back on the podium on a state and national stage, it's really hard to compare. So as long as I can improve myself and improve on what I've done before, that's where I'll be really happy. That's what I'm aiming for.
Let's talk about the transition to uni. So a lot of students are going through exactly what you're experiencing right now, finishing year 12, moving into tertiary study, a bit of upheaval for some people, moving home and all that sort of thing. So you've landed here at UQ studying Bachelors of Commerce and Economics. So firstly, I guess what attracted you to study in those fields?
I don't know. I'd always had a passion for, a lot of those business and economic side of things. And I was really fortunate in year 11 and 12 to have some really cool teachers, really helpful teachers in those areas. And I just developed a passion for those sorts of things. So I'd looked at UQ for a long time. They are one of the best business schools in Australia, in the world sort of thing. So that was always a goal of mine. And I got here and I got into commerce and economics. I liked the idea of having a finance or accounting base. And I really enjoy just a lot of stuff I studied in economics in high school. So, I've gotten in this degree and I'm really happy where I am. A lot of the stuff is, as hard as the work is, it's really interesting. And I realise I've got a passion for what I'm studying right now.
You mentioned in our Q&A that's on our Instagram page at our sporting scholarship induction event, we did a bit of a sit down with our student athletes, and you talked about striking a balance between sport and study, and you said that my sport wouldn't be where it is without the academic balance. Can you expand on that? How important are the two for coexisting and sort of prospering on both sides?
Yeah, so this is a philosophy I more or less live by. So my dad and I talk about it all the time. It's, having the balance between the two. Like, your head down in the books, all you want to do is get away. I'd jump in the water, go for a surf, go for a paddle sort of thing. It's a literal physical and mental cleanse as well. And on the same time, like, if I'm doing miles in the pool and my body's tired, I want to put my mind to work and do some study sort of thing. So, one balances out the other, as I said. So without my academia, I would just drive myself into the ground physically with sport. So I have a passion for both. So those two being able to balance each other out, being such different things, a mental challenge and a physical challenge, I find them both really important.
Hey, can I ask about your dad?
Sure.
He seems like a pretty central figure in your life, both competition but also navigating things like study. And we got to meet him at the scholarship induction. He came along. How central is he to keeping yourself grounded throughout it all? Yeah, so he's been an absolutely massive help for me as someone who did surf club stuff and competed at the same level I did. He's been really important. Like he helps me on the beach. He's always the first person to give me my sun shirt and my water bottle after a race on the beach. And he loves, even though he's done it since I was 10 years old, but he loves coming to training and just watching me go around and have fun with all my mates. And he also helped me with a lot of my uni applications getting into uni. So he's been an absolutely central figure for me, as you said, so very important. Father of the Year candidate by us.
For sure.
Have you found the transition? So you moved up to Brisbane, you're living on campus. What have you've been your takeaways from those first few weeks of uni?
Yeah, so it's been really hectic. It's almost like I've started a whole new life. I've moved away from home from the Gold Coast. I'm living at St. Leo's College, which has been absolutely fantastic. As new as this stuff is, they've been really welcoming, and all the boys there are really, really good fun. And they're all in the same boat, and they understand where we are. So, they've been, bring us into their brotherhood sort of thing. It's been really like that camaraderie, as I said to you before. It's been fantastic. So I've been able to, be independent and get my training and my work and stuff done. But at the same time, I've got a network of people around me, which has been absolutely incredible.
I also want to spend some time just touching on the Clem Jones Sporting Scholarship that you've received. A really important scholarship to help student athletes, especially with the financial elements of competing. But for yourself, how beneficial is this scholarship going to be to allow you to achieve what you want to do, both in competition and study?
Oh yeah, it's an absolute game changer. I'm very, very happy that I've been able to get this scholarship. So there's a lot of things like travel and competition fees and stuff like that. So we're doing multiple competitions throughout the year where we're traveling, statewide, national wide. I've even done an international level competition. So to have this, sort of help on my back to alleviate some financial pressures has been awesome. But it's not just the financial element, it's a lot of the support network that comes with it too. So a lot of the things that UQ Sport has been able to provide has been really reassuring, not just, as I said, not just financial, but as well as the emotional support and knowing there's always someone to turn to if we need help with anything.
One final one for you, not sport related, not study related. Did you teach yourself to play guitar and piano?
Yeah, long story short, yeah, kind of. I bought myself a guitar in 2018, kind of learnt off some YouTube videos, and I've got a few musical mates from school as well who kind of gave me a couple pointers, and then mum and dad got me a piano for my birthday later that year as well, so I've just kind of messed around with it, which again, it feeds into that balance. I've been able to, come home from training and I just want to, just chill, and I'll pick up the guitar, play a couple things or piano or whatever.
That's cool. I'm trying to learn guitar, same thing, picked it up, inherited a guitar. I have two young kids, so quite hard to actually do it. Can you give me one word of some encouragement just to keep up? I'm having a hard time just, I want to thrash like Eddie Van Halen, but I'm having trouble doing Polly Wolly Doodle. Can you give me something to keep going?
Not many people can thrash Eddie Van Halen, but just keep going, keep going at it. It gets hard, but you persevere, and eventually you can land some chords, you can play some fun songs, and as I said, perseverance, keep going.
Calluses, mate, that's where it's all at.
Yeah, no, the ends of my fingers are rock hard right now.
I love you, chat to Corbin. I'm really looking forward to following the journey this year in the water, but also your study journey. Thanks for coming in.
No, my pleasure. Thanks so much for having me.
What a cracking chat with Corbin. A massive 2021 coming up for him, as well as our group of sporting scholarship holders. And you can get to know all of this year's group by exploring our Insta page. The handle is @UQ Sport. More great episodes coming up. For our series producer Ashley Hanger, I'm Jamie Mitchell, saying catch you down the road.